Hey lovelies, happy Saturday. Apologies for not posting this a while back. Your girl has not been feeling well and I've just been pushing through, but doing a recap has just been the last thing on my mind. Right now, complete transparency, I'm laying down with a hot water bottle literally on my belly because the cramp is cramping. But we're going to hang out together. Make sure you grab a drink, make sure you grab a snack. Let's get into Real Housewives of Potomac. Episode 2, honey. So the episode started with Mia crying in the bathroom. As you guys know, we talked about how I personally feel like Mia was not protecting her children in the best way. Now, that said, I think hearing that from anyone is going to make you upset. Now, I was in the comment section of Kempire's YouTube channel, and I saw somebody said the cry sounded fake and she couldn't muster up tears or something like that. When I tell you I cracked up, I did. And it was just funny because I was like, yo, was that actually like, are you guys onto something? Did you think the crying sounded fake? Let me know in the comment section. I'm just curious about what you guys think. Now, the conversation between Jazelle and Wendy was just outrageous to me. Well, at least what they showed, because it just seemed like there was so much that was not shown. And then, of course, if you fast forward to reading Wendy's tweet, you see that Wendy was like, they didn't show they didn't show a lot of the things that were talked about. What it seemed like is they only showed things that would sort of make Jazelle look good. So her saying to Wendy that she talks down at people. When production gets upset that we're always saying they're editing things out and all that kind of stuff, what do they expect from us? If there has been such conflict between Jazelle and Wendy for such a long time, and you have a scene which is meant to be like, okay, let's talk about it, and then you don't go into detail about it, what do you think this is? The scene was so awkward to even begin with. It was like, why are we here? It was given production has said we need to squash this beef ASAP. And then Jazelle said she doesn't want to talk about the isms. I'm like, okay, so if you don't want to talk about some of the things that have happened and has been brought up, so why are we here? But I guess production was like, we need to wrap this up. We need a different season. We need to wrap this up ASAP. And I think that's really what it was. Everyone was just there trying to get their money, in my opinion. Wendy said she brought up everything. She brought up saying that it was not okay for her to be assaulted because she doesn't like her. She also brought up like the rumor about her husband and talking badly about her mother and so on. Yet, production edited all of that out and made it seem like Jazelle was checking Wendy for the way that Wendy talks down at her. Feel like a lot of these shows have agendas, and I think the agenda this season is to try to make Jazelle look good. Because for a long time, people have been calling Jazelle a witch. They've been calling her all sorts of names because of her excessive, outrageous behavior towards the girlies. And I think production knows that if they don't get it under control, it's only going to ruin the integrity of the show. So that's why Jazelle seems to be on her best behavior so far this season, in my opinion. Or at least is being edited to look like she's been on her best behavior. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The other scene that I loved was Stacy's scene with Arbella, her daughter. And I think for me, one of the reasons that I love that scene was because I'm a girl that loves languages. I've been learning Spanish. Now, I did fall off a little bit, but I've been learning Spanish, right? And I wish that I learned Spanish as a kid because it wouldn't be as hard as it is right now as an adult. Like, I'm grown and now I'm learning language, so it is hard. So if anything, it's making it at least a little bit more obvious for people to think, yo, teach our kids whatever languages you want them to know, teach them early. So they're not struggling like me. as adults. So far, I'm liking Stacy this season. Stacy seems to have a good head on her shoulder. Now, I will check her for speaking to Ashley about her private business, because Ashley ain't the one. But we'll talk about that in a second. What I want to talk about briefly is Karen and Kieran. So they seem to have a really good relationship, but I think that Karen is stirring the pot when it comes to Jazelle. The truth is, Karen does not like Jazelle. I feel like they have a frenemy sort of situation. I do think somewhere in Giselle's mind, Giselle actually thinks they're friends, but they are not friends. They are frenemies, at least in my opinion. But let me know if you guys agree. I do think that Karen was trying to stir the pot by saying that Giselle didn't invite Kieran, right? And I think it's because she's like, ooh, let Kieran be upset. In a way, Karen is also producing the show, in my opinion. I feel like Karen knows what it takes to run a reality TV show. And she is like, let me create some storylines. Let me create some tension. Let me bring something to the show. Because I don't remember Kieran and Giselle having any issues. So I think she was just trying to stir the pot. Let's move on to Ashley and Stacy. So Ashley and Stacy had conversations about like race and like raising their children and trying to teach their children more of the culture as a Black woman. Now, I do think that specifically in relation to Stacy, girl, I like you. But people have been saying that DC is chocolate city. So why isn't your daughter being exposed to Black people and Black culture? Is it because you don't know enough about Black culture to be able to educate her? That's just something that came to mind. Because knowing is the first step, right? Like identifying, like they always say in therapy or whatever, like identifying the issue is the first step. So I'm glad they've both identified the issues. However, there are lots of people who identify issues and do nothing about it. And I hope that they actually take steps, active steps. Because what it sounds like is her husband, Stacey's husband, is an active parent who is also passionate about his culture. So it's easy to pass on a culture that you are proud of, that you are aware of. But if you are not aware of your culture, involved in that, you don't have a lot of chocolate friends, for instance, is that why it's as difficult to pass that on to your daughter? These are just the kind of questions that come to mind. Of course, nobody's judging her. She knows what the problem is. So now it's just she needs to figure out how to fix it. Now, I think she made the biggest mistake of telling Ashley that she is dating somebody and that she's abstinent with the person, because Ashley was out here talking about, what? You mean you ain't done anything? And how can you have only had one ding-a-ling in 16 years and now haven't hopped on the new thing? Not everybody's like you, Ashley. Not everybody can go from one ding-a-ling to another in like a split second, okay? Besides, Ashley is a blabbermouth, so whatever it is that Stacey has said, she is going to hear it with the rest of the group. She's going to take it. She's the bone carrier. She's like a charade. She's the bone collector of the show. So she's going to be carrying those bones to the rest of the girls to let them know what's going on. As someone who is in an abstinent relationship, what you need is support, because it's hard enough as it is. You don't need some girl being like, what? How? You've not done it in ages. Oh my God. Like, girl, chill. Now, let's move on to Karen and Jazelle. This is why I say they're frenemies. Karen had a whole event on the same day of Giselle's event. And she mentioned it briefly, but said, don't worry, I will come to your event no matter what. I will come to your event, knowing fully well she had no plans of being there. You may not like Jazelle, but so far Jazelle has been nice enough to Karen this season. But let's be clear, Karen wanted to play games. Because I just noticed, why was it that every time Jazelle was asking her, what time is your event, she kept avoiding it and saying, oh, I don't know, but whatever the case may be, I will come to your event. I promise I will be there. Knowing fully well she had no plans of being there. And then the worst part is Karen decides to send a message to the rest of the gang, basically inviting them to her event, which is basically meant to be at the same time as Giselle's event. I think that's a terrible thing to do. I know that Real Housewives people do that, but I think it's a very terrible thing to do, especially when it is an event that is about Giselle's father that just passed away 10 months ago. That's a very insensitive thing to do, especially because Karen wants us to be sensitive about her DUI and blame it on the fact that she has been through a lot, including the death of her parents. And that's pretty much what it's about. She wants us to believe that, but you cannot either show up or not direct all the girlies to come to yours. They already RSVP'd for a different event. I think the girls were wrong. I feel like if I'd RSVP to go somewhere, I don't change where I'm going to for someone else. It just doesn't make sense to me. Especially if you tell me the day before or on the day. That's not going to happen. Now, I understand Wendy, because Wendy and Giselle are not best of friends. They just had a sit down like 5 seconds ago. They ain't friends. So yes, of course, rep and support your friend if that's what you want to do. But I feel like the other girlies, you guys RSVP'd, you guys were meant to be there. It was set in stone, and then someone can message you a day before or on the day, changing the plans, and then you guys go for it. And if you wanted to go to Karen's thing, you should have first of all gone to Giselle's thing, because that was the thing that you have planned to go to before. It's just basic respect. I know people were upset at Giselle for telling them to leave, but I don't actually think what Giselle did was that bad, and I'll tell you why. I feel like it was Ashley's fault. Ashley should have called the girlies back and said, if you guys are going to get here by 8, it's about Giselle's father's thing. She does not want to see you. She does not think it's appropriate for you guys to waltz in at 8. She should have called back and said it, but she didn't. She did it for the drama, knowing fully well that the girlies would show up at 8 and then there would be mayhem. So that's who I blame personally. Because if we're being clear, Giselle stated her boundary to Ashley from the start, saying the girls need to get here at 7:30. If the girls don't get here for that time, they're going to have to leave. And then Ashley said, I told them to come at 8. She's like, no, they shouldn't bother. If they're coming at 8, they shouldn't bother. Ashley should have picked up the phone to call the girlies to say, guys, if you guys are only going to get here at 8, then don't worry about it. But she didn't. So that's why I feel like, no, but I don't think people should be blaming Giselle. Giselle had a boundary and that was that. And they were late. So there is the grace period of, you coming into an event a little bit late, all that kind of stuff. But if the host does not want you there, the host does not want you there. You are late, especially when you RSVP'd before and you knew what time it was. Let's be clear. I don't really care about Giselle. I have no skin in the game. I just think that based on this is just like etiquette, in my opinion. If you're going to come to an event that was running from 7 to 9 at 8 o'clock, that is already late. That's an hour to the end of the event, especially when it's a scheduled event. It's a short event. It's 7 to 9. That is a really, really short event. So you are going to miss a lot of things if you don't get there at the right time. Would I have personally probably just let them off because they made the effort to come? Yes. However, that is just me. I can't hold someone and be like, she shouldn't have sent them away because she had a boundary that she decided to enforce. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the chat. Thank you. Bye.